All right, Jamie, we are back.
Yes.
Happy summertime.
Yeah, you too.
And it's always weird because the kids being out of school, it's like
Mm.
mass chaos as parents here in the high
Yeah.
country. Where are our kids gonna, go/do,
Yes.
keep them occupied? But happy summer to you. I love your idea of this episode of talking about just summertime in general. I think I'm going to have to get my notes here. From trails to transactions, how
Mm.
summer tourism drives Boone's commercial real estate market. And, we've talked about how the tourism economy is so important. Um, when you were driving into beautiful downtown Boone today, did you notice it was slammed?
Yes, I did.
A lot
Which
of,
is great to see. I
yeah.
love that.
Um, And so people are certainly coming up to Boone.
Yeah.
And I love what you said last episode as well, is that, commercial real estate touches everything.
Yeah.
And it's no different to the summer tourism economy. And so what I wanted to do was give you some quick facts. Um, you know, we are this recreational tourism economy. And
Mhm.
so you can imagine that summertime is the time where like most businesses should be thriving, right? Because there's an influx of people. Um, Summer in itself is this economic engine. And it should be of no surprise to you that people are coming up to Boone. Why do you think people come up to Boone, Jamie?
Well, number one reason right now to escape the heat.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Um, they come for cooler temperatures. They also come for that recreation aspect, the hiking,
Mhm.
biking, fishing. Another reason that they may come up to the high country is we just had Boomerang, right? Festival.
Right.
And so there was a huge influx of people in town. Another, while when I was looking at some Placer AI data this week, I looked at the month of June, and it was, and the chamber did this exercise as well. But did you hear of the mountain miler race that was?
Yeah, the 10
Yeah,
miler.
the 10 miler.
Yes. Yeah.
And
That's
so
exciting.
there was a huge influx of people who came into town because of that. Um, you know, Restaurant shopping, and I think that people off the mountain just want to get away.
Yeah.
Primarily, like you said, escape the heat. Um, I always think it's funny, like when people like you and I go down to the beach.
Mm.
I'm like,
Yes.
uh, do the locals do the opposite? Do
Right.
they
We just trade places.
come to Boone, escape the heat? One of the things that I found in my research, though, was so Explore Boone is the name of the TDA,
Yeah.
Tourism Development Authority, for the county and the general area. They have done some reporting, and the last report that they had was in 2024. Uh, Visitors spent approximately 515.85 million in Watauga County, and that
Wow.
those visits generated a tax savings of approximately $656 a year to people like you and
Yeah.
me. Some other fun facts is that when they did this report, that the travel and tourism industry employs over 3,000 people. So obviously,
Yeah.
it's a huge sector. The payroll generated by tourism industry in Watauga County, and this is again back in 2024, was 129.11 million. And then state tax revenues from travel to Watauga County totaled 17.15 million, while local tax revenues totaled 18.95 million.
Mm.
In layman's terms, Jamie,
Yeah.
I think it's important to understand that the visitors who come to Boone, are spending money,
Right.
and when they're spending that money, it generates, one of 2 taxes, right? So on the hotel side, it generates what they call occupancy tax, and that kinda goes back to the TDA, and there are certain ways, or restrictions in how they can spend that money, but then just general sales tax, right? I'm sure you've heard for decades now the, argument between the county and the town,
Yeah.
over the distribution of sales tax, but needless to say, sales tax is still getting, generated. So the key point is that, you know, tourism in itself is not separate, from commercial real estate. It
Mhm.
is, one of the what we call a demand driver, right? And a lot of the places where people go, have a commercial real estate function. All right. Before we hit record, I told you I was gonna ask you this fun question. Because so many people who wanna come to Boone in the summertime may not know anything about Boone, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna let you go first, but the question, and we're both gonna answer it. The question of the day is, if you, as a local,
Yeah.
if you had someone coming to Boone that had never been here before, what would be your perfect summer day itinerary? And it can include all aspects: food, recreation, and sleep. So you need to
Yeah.
give a
Ooh, okay.
recommendation, start to finish, in those 3 categories.
Okay. So I love this question because I have a friend coming up next week from Raleigh. And I was literally thinking through what to do with her when she comes. And she has 3 kids too. So I think our morning would start with some eggs and local sausage from the food hub, as well as a little trip right across the street and across the field from my house to meet Camp Creek for some fishing for the
Okay.
kids. And then I think we would head to Valley Cruises Park, do some lunch at Pearl's Kitchen, head to King Street for some light shopping, 6 kids and shopping.
Mm.
Um, and probably get some snacks along the way to keep the kids happy. Definitely a stop in at the Candy Barrel. And then head home again for some fresh greens and veggies from CSA Box from Riggensdale Grain,
Mhm.
and then some Shipley Farm steaks, and then I would probably have them stay at the Horton for the downtown experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that
Oh, and
was
rooftop drinks for the adults after
yes.
kids go to sleep.
Love that Horton rooftop
Yes.
bar. Okay, let me see if I can do this as eloquently as you did. I am starting my day at the always delicious Boom Bakery.
Oh, yes.
That is my
Classic.
go-to classic. I think after that, I am taking them out to uh, Price Park off the Blue Ridge Parkway. I'm a big fan of the Boone Fork Trail,
Oh, yeah.
so
It's a good one.
um, going out there and I don't think people from out of town understand the proximity, just how close we are to the Blue Ridge Parkway,
Yeah.
and so a number of awesome resources out there. I wouldn't say parlay it with a fire tower hike, but if they didn't want if they wanted a shorter hike,
Right.
definitely fire tower is a good one. Um, would more than likely have lunch in Blowing Rock.
Mhm.
Um, I think the Social on Main is a
Oh, yeah.
good restaurant or, speckled trout.
Mm.
I'm a big
Yes.
speckled trout fan.
Me
Um,
too.
and then shout out Roger if you're listening to this. And then, come back to Boone. I agree with you that the shopping component is
Yeah.
important and just how downtown Boone is so pedestrian oriented. Whether you want to get ice cream or you want to go, like you said, to the candy barrels, there's a little something for everyone in downtown. Um, Definitely having dinner in downtown Boone. Um, For me, I'm a big Vidalia fan.
Oh, yes, so good.
So I am probably taking everyone to Vidalia. Now my itinerary is adults only.
Yeah.
I've left kids at home.
Yes.
Um, and if not Vidalia, depending on the day of the week, maybe somewhere like Kobo, right? If
Mhm.
you're feeling the sushi thing. If you want a real hole in the wall experience, go to Black Cat Burrito.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
another favorite of mine. Um, and if you do have kids, like Jamie was saying, Phys Ed is a great
Mm,
kid-friendly
one of
restaurant
my
in
kids'
downtown
favorites.
Boone. So, and then I think that there are definitely post. I always like to call them post-dinner drinks.
Yeah.
And so whenever I'm in downtown Boone, I usually end up here, the building that we're in,
Yes.
Adventure,
That's an awesome
for
choice.
dessert. I typically don't order dessert at a restaurant anymore. I'll go somewhere and have
The
dessert. Yes,
progressive
progressive
meals,
dinner.
yeah.
Um, and so Venture does a great job
What are
of.
you getting for dessert?
I do the creme brulee here
Oh,
with
okay, me
the
too.
great
Okay.
minds think alike, and the bourbon. So
Yes,
those are
perfect.
kind of my two things. And then I'm also a big fan of the Horton. Um, Certainly not, but as an alternative option to the Horton, if you are looking for something kind of off the beaten path, I think In at Crestwood
Oh,
is
yes.
a newly renovated establishment. If you're trying to stay closer into Boone, um, I am a big Rhodes Motor Lodge fan. You
Actually, me
know,
too.
um,
Yes.
now that Over Yonder is in there, and just their bar, their decor, their atmosphere.
I mean, the food is
Um,
great. Yeah.
so out of so there you go. There's
Choices. We have choices is what you're saying.
so many choices. And you know what? Someone is probably, if we put like this clip up on social media, someone is probably going to light us up saying, "Oh, you didn't mention us."
Oh,
I'm
I
like,
know.
sorry. It's just came first thing that came to mind.
I am really excited about the renovations at the Inn at Crestwood.
Okay.
I've always loved that spot, and I was actually so long ago, I won't say how long, but I was in a wedding there. My cousin got married there, and it was just it has a sweet, memories attached to it as well, so
They have done a huge, extensive renovation project, and I think we are working on this. I've talked to you about this. Working on either getting someone from in at Crestwood on the show, or we may even just do it fully remote
yes,
from in at Crestwood. But
something to look forward
we
to for
we
sure.
certainly want to, give them a shout out. All right. Um, Out of all the places that we mentioned,
Yeah.
there is so much commercial real estate going on,
Mhm.
and you know, and it all gets segmented out, right? So kind of working backwards, the lodging, whether that was in at Crestwood or it's Horton or it's a Flag Hotel, right?
Yeah.
That sits in the hospitality bucket. Um, the all the restaurants that we mentioned, they sit in the retail bucket. The recreation, it can, depending on what it is, like an outfitter like Wahoo's, for example, is what we would call just specialty, right?
Yeah.
Um, I think a lot of outfitters take whatever building or real estate they can. Like you'll see a lot of old single family residences converted into
And
office or
yeah.
storage. Um, but, you know, again, all of this is touching commercial real estate. The other aspect that, um, you know, is important is the transportation issue,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, you and I are both big fans of walkability,
Mhm.
and that is greatest in downtown Boone or downtown Blowing Rock or even downtown West Jefferson. There's a huge amount of pedestrian traffic, people
Mhm.
walking around, going to various shops. But for the most part, we are a community where you have to get in your car and drive. Um, so, the infrastructure and road component of that um, is important. Okay, how outdoor recreation influences business locations.
Mm.
I think, uh, long story short, is that they want. I think any business owner wants visibility,
Right.
right? They want accessibility,
Mhm.
right? You wouldn't believe this, but your clip on curb cuts when wow, we're teaching people all about curb cuts, and they're like, wow, I didn't know.
I didn't know
Um,
about curb cuts.
but you know, accessibility, parking,
Mm.
um,
Yeah.
I think location, but really what affects these tourist-based businesses is their seasonality function, right? That,
Mhm.
if you can only go to Appalachian Ski Mountain during the winter
Right.
where there is snow. You can only go to Wahoo's, right, during the summer.
Mhm.
Um, it Let me ask you this question. Out of recreational activities, those and another way to say this is maybe those activities that people specifically come to Watauga County to do.
Mhm.
What are your, you know, top 5 that you think of top of mind?
Oh, the I think of, skiing for
Okay.
sure, hiking, fishing, um
So let me take one of those at a time. So like
okay.
skiing, for example.
Yeah.
Skiing is a huge tourism driver, not so much in Watauga County because we only have Appalachian Ski Mountain,
Yes.
but they come to the greater region, which is what we call the high country,
Mhm.
right? Avery, and Watauga County is a 3-county collection that we as locals call the high country.
Mhm.
Um, in Avery County, there's both Beech Mountain and Sugar Mountain. Um, and one of the things that I love about Beech Mountain
Mm.
is their mindset of we are not just here for skiing. Like,
Right.
how Beech Mountain does a huge concert series in the
Yeah,
summer, how they've
and
gotten
Run Beach.
and Run Beach. What's that? Tell me about that.
The races?
Hiking or on a bicycle?
Well, I think they do that as well, but I think there's, like, a shorter one that's, like, 2 miles, 1 or 2 miles, and then, like, a 5K?
Oh, running.
Yes,
Okay,
running, and then I think your ticket gets you, like, a meal ticket as well.
nice.
I haven't done it yet, but a friend was just telling me it's one of their favorite things to
Yeah.
do in the summer, so
That, uh, Mountain Miler event that they had, um, really did bring a
yeah.
humongous I didn't know that running was, like, that big of a thing where you, like, go travel,
I think it
um
is. I think it's huge because it's very accessible. You
okay,
don't have to have any special equipment.
right.
You just have to be able to run somewhere, you know? And so anybody can do it
Hey,
with a little training.
well, I know David Jackson did the 4-mile one, but I had a fraternity brother who was trying to convince me to do the 10-mile with
Oh,
him, and
yeah.
I looked at the map, I said, "Oh, no, I would die
Was it
if I."
hilly? I didn't look at
Yeah,
it.
it was pretty insane, like, it went, from Kid Brewer Stadium all the way, out towards the new high school where I
Okay.
live.
Yep.
It got on the Greenway.
Oh, okay.
It did. a number of different, like, loops and,
Yeah.
trails throughout the Greenway section. It came back on at, like, Walgreens or College of Health Sciences,
Uh-huh.
and then came all the way back into or I and then I heard no, it went to College of Health Sciences and then came up State Farm Road. They were running
Oh,
up.
Upstate Farm. Yeah.
Kill me now. No.
Yeah.
But sorry for the aside. So skiing is, I think, a huge economic driver, and
Right.
that's why we have a lot of the ski shops, right? So they're
Sure.
just doing the opposite of what the summer outfitters are doing. They're outfitting people,
Sure.
for ski related or ski or snowboard stuff. Um, what was the next one you said? Fishing, right?
Yeah, fishing.
Um, so you can see I've always said that when it comes to fishing, most people come to the high country for fly fishing.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, the Watauga River is a great source. The New River probably has some good fishing in it too, but um, a company like Speckled Trout is one fishing outfitter.
Right.
Um, and there are a number of others. There's a really I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but there's a really good one on 105.
828.
Yeah,
Yeah.
828 is another, fishing outfitter, and the I've heard that the section of I guess it's the Watauga River right there by Ochota
Mhm.
is some of the best fly fishing in the county, so,
Oh, nice. Okay, good to know.
anyways, that
I am not a
yeah,
fisherman.
I'm not either. Yeah, I like to do my fishing down the coast in
Oh,
the
nice. Okay.
intercoastal waterways. Um, okay, and so that's why I think that we have the outfitter businesses, and the last one you said was hiking, right?
Yeah.
That
That's my
is
personal favorite.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So hiking, I think generates, uh, you know, we all tend to think of the outfitter tied to hiking to be mass general
Mhm.
store. I think
Yeah.
that is really why they have implored this physical presence
Mhm.
in a number of spots. Um,
Yeah.
because, like, when you look at mass general store, they have Asheville, Waynesville, Hendersonville, but within that corporation or company, we're and granted, they're headquartered here, so
Right.
it makes it a little easier, but, um, they have everything down in Valley Crucis with the
Mhm.
annex and the original store, and then they have, spot in downtown Boone. So if you need any, hiking gear, Mast is certainly a good option. Another good local option is Foot Sloggers, right?
Yeah.
So, they have locations in both Boone and Blown Rock.
Mhm.
But certainly, I think that people come to Boone and they want to do extended hiking, and
Yes.
it. I don't think you need a whole lot of equipment if you're just going on a day hike.
Sure.
Certainly need what do you pack on your day hike, Jamie?
Water,
Water.
lots of water, snacks, um, sunscreen. Depending on where I'm hiking, maybe a pair of extra shoes in case we want to do any wading, or I don't know. I feel like we always end up in some body of water somehow.
Which is, there's a lot of water
Yes.
around these trails, whether it's a creek, stream, river. Um, for day hiking, I agree with you. Water is very important. I think that um, food and having adequate supply of that. I'm a big fan of a first aid kit
Mm,
because you never
yeah,
know
that's true. That's a good
what is
one.
going to happen out there, and it doesn't have to be like a whole EMS pack. Just
Right.
especially with both of us having small children, you never
I
know.
keep a first aid kit basically on my person at all times anyway, so that I didn't make it to my hiking list because it's just always there.
Um, and then some people will carry filters with
Oh, yeah.
them in case they run out of water, and
Do
and
you? Okay.
no, I just carry enough
Enough water.
Nalgene
Yeah.
or some container of water to carry me through the hike. All right, those are all good. What are is there any more that you can think of?
In terms of recreational
Yeah.
activities? Oh, trying to think if there are any that just scream high country to me.
I think those are the major
Yeah, those
ones.
feel
You
like
know,
the
it's funny how we have these subsidiaries of recreation, right?
yeah.
Like one of the things that is becoming more and more prevalent in our community is youth recreational activities, right?
Mhm.
So whether that's High Country Soccer Association,
Yeah.
whether it's these private leagues that are doing basketball or
Mhm.
baseball, that is something that as a parent, I'm becoming more and more aware of.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not that there's necessarily an avenue of commercial real estate that's tied to that. But
Mhm.
what I would say is, I think that's one of the reasons why Summit Sports made
Mm.
that expansion. Do you know the story
Yeah,
behind
I
Summit?
do. It's really cool.
Um, for those who aren't familiar, there was a company here in Boone, Crystal Smith and Grant. Is it Miller? Grant. Sorry
Something.
if I
I should
forget.
know this.
You should.
I should, and I cannot remember.
I know Crystal because I see her at
Yeah.
App FC games all the time. But so they started Summit Pickleball
Yes.
on the left side of all things an industrial building
Mhm.
in the industrial park. Um, Did you know that they're gonna start doing outdoor pickleball courts over
Oh,
there?
no, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah,
That's
they,
awesome.
went through the process with the town to
Okay.
get permitting and approval to have, kinda on the back left-hand corner
Okay.
around the back is gonna have outdoor pickleball courts.
That's
So,
great.
next time you go up there,
Yeah,
see
I'll
if
have to check it
she
out.
has, installed her outdoor pickleball courts yet. But inside was how many does she have in there on that side? At least 6 or
I
8,
was gonna
right?
say 6, but I it's been a little while since I've been in there, so I
Okay.
can't remember.
So, indoor pickleball facility, but then what was so cool is that she saw this need for indoor recreation,
Yeah.
and somehow she didn't use me, but somehow she, uh, got in touch with her landlord who
Yeah.
owns the entire building and said, I have an idea. And she expanded to the entire building. And on the new right side is um, a lot of indoor recreational activities that's
Mhm.
not pickleball related. It's
Yeah.
like Ian went up there to play indoor soccer.
Yeah.
And
Hellbender Fitness
Hellbender
Center.
moved over there, so a CrossFit gym that we have in our community is taking space in there. Um, like Mike Clifton, I think I'm
Mhm.
not quite sure how all of it works. I just see Mike there all the time when
Oh,
I'm
do you?
there. Um, he is doing those indoor batting cages
Oh, that's great.
for
I didn't know
baseball,
that.
and they even have a really cool component that I don't think a lot of people know is, they have a little pub inside the
What?
new side. So they've been
That's great.
watching, like, all the soccer games, FIFA games in
Oh.
their new little pub
Oh, that
with,
feels, like, very appropriate. I love
yeah,
that.
no surprise. So, Crystal, Grant, keep killing it.
Yes.
Proud of you, and, but it's interesting to see how someone saw the need
Yeah.
and then met it and had enough creativity and really had the willingness to take the risk to do that. So I'm hopeful that you know they'll do well. So
Yeah.
okay, the so going back to how do we tie this all back into commercial real estate? I would say, Jamie, that Boone certainly has identified itself in this tourism recreation space. That our TDA Explore Boone is doing an excellent job to um, promote
Mhm.
Boone, Watauga County to people who don't live here.
Yeah.
Like they will run a bunch of ads in markets like Charlotte or
Their
Raleigh.
posters in the Charlotte airport are amazing. My kids love seeing them.
Oh, tell me more. I
Yeah.
haven't seen one. So
Okay, I think they're actually, maybe going to Terminal D in that hallway. There's some huge posters, Explore Beam posters with beautiful photos of the high country, and I don't remember what they say, but we're always super excited to see those and claim Boone as ours.
yeah.
So,
Um, I always love going, whether it's the airport or it's much larger market. I always like seeing a reminder of home.
oh yeah,
And it just allows me to tell people just how awesome Boone is.
for sure.
Um, Obviously, with opportunity comes challenges. And we've talked about a number of these challenges before. Some of these that I wrote down. Is what I don't think a lot of people understand is that the seasonality really impacts their ability to cover 12 months of
Yeah.
rent or 12 months of expenses. I think this is most prevalent in those really niche businesses that you were talking about. So whether that's um, say Appalachian Ski Mountain or
Mhm.
it's Wahoo's or people who can only operate for a very finite period of time. Like even back when Hawk's Nest was doing the zip
Mm.
line.
Yes.
They moved that to more year round, but for example, tubing, you can't go tubing
Right.
in the middle of the summer. Um, Labor is hard to find. I think more and more, whether it's our podcast or just general knowledge, I think people are starting to understand that labor is harder and harder. Um, Most of these college students aren't staying up here for the
Mhm.
summer. I think businesses have a much easier time finding a pool of labor when school is in session, but when it's not, um, that's difficult. Obviously, we've talked about housing affordability and how that affects the workforce. Um, the parking and congestion shape, um, or just parking, especially in a place like downtown Boone,
Yeah.
that's the number one complaint that we hear is that nowhere for us to park. I actually just had this conversation last night with David Jackson. Was um, talking. I don't know if you know a lot about parking specifically within the town of Boone, but the way the town operates, they operate from a minimum, not a
Oh, okay.
no. Maybe I got that backwards. I can't, and forgive me because I can't remember if it's a minimum or a maximum. I want to say it's a minimum
Hmm.
parking that a development can have. And so when I was talking to him, you know, I made a really good point that, all these mixed use buildings around town
Yeah.
that have the empty commercial space, they're not failing because of the economics. We talked about that. They a part where they really struggle is the parking because the developer put enough parking in for the residential component, but
No.
but not the commercial,
Yeah.
right? And then the other thing that parking sometimes doesn't consider is that not only does the customer need to park, but the employees of the
Right.
business have to park. Like we talked about Boonshine having a summer labor staff of 60 to 70
Yeah.
people.
Mind
Well,
blowing.
where do they all, if there's at least, I don't know, I gotta imagine there's at least 12 to 15, if not more of them working on any given
Right.
shift, right? Where are they all parking in
Mhm.
relationship to the open parking lot that they have? So,
Which is hard to find parking a lot of times.
yeah, that was another one that I wanted to put on my list of things to do was,
Yeah,
uh, just
that's
so that
mine.
the people in the brewery community don't come after us. Definitely go local or go visit your local brewery,
Yeah.
whether that's Boonshine, whether that's A&B.
Mhm.
Shout out to A&B. We're recording this on July 8th.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, we're having a big Boone area Chamber of Commerce after hours at Appalachian Mountain Brewery. So excited that. Lost Province is
Yeah.
another local brewery. I'm gonna give our listeners a hidden, it's not necessarily Boone tea, but, um, a piece of, hidden knowledge.
Okay.
Because you may not know this either.
Okay.
Um, if you come to Boone,
Yeah.
and I think they're open Thursday through Sunday, Lost Province has an annex on the east side of Boone. They have
Oh.
a tap room is part of their brewery production facility. Did you know
Yes,
that?
by the dance
Yeah,
studio.
but
Yep,
next to the
been
dance.
there.
Okay. So it's called Lost Province at Hardin Creek.
Yes.
And all they do is serve beer. So if you want a cold beer after your hike, put that on your list.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
Catherine and I's secret spot
It's a
for
great little spot,
um especially in the
and
summertime.
it's right by you.
Uh Another thing that impacts seasonal businesses that I don't think a lot of people are aware of is weather,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
So, and specifically those that are, you know, um, really hyper seasonal that we mentioned, when the weather is super warm and they can't make snow or it doesn't snow, place like Apsky can struggle. If it's raining all weekend long, people aren't going to want to walk in downtown Boone
Right.
and go into all the shops. So weather, I think, does definitely play a role. And then I think the last thing is just a reminder that this infrastructure matters, especially when we're coming off of everything with Helene. Did you know that in our state budget that got passed this week, there's a huge chunk, hundreds of millions for recovery to western part of the state.
Yeah, that's
So
amazing.
the work continues. Applaud everyone who has been working on that. Um, but infrastructure when it comes to roads, bridges, access, I always tell people you can only get to Boone one of two ways. You either come from the east or you come from the south.
It's true.
Um, okay, so let me ask you as we kind of try and wrap up,
Yeah.
let me ask you this visioning question, which
Mm.
is, if we are an economy
Mhm.
which is based off of this recreation and tourism, what do you see, out of all the real estate or all the businesses that we talked about, what do you think is going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years?
Mm. It's a great question. I would hope, um, healthy and respectful growth. Um, Also preservation of the hiking trails and the outdoor green spaces that we have. Um, but I think of the speckled trout outfitters right down here downtown. Just the new ideas that support those things like fishing and hiking. I love to see people's creativity and entrepreneurship, and the repurposing of that building is amazing. I mean, it's beautiful now. And I think we've talked about that before, just, um, taking a space and what's the term that you always use? It's
Adaptive
highest, yeah.
well, adaptive reuse is
Okay,
what the
yes.
process is called, but it is,
It's
it's highest
highest and
and
best
best
use.
use,
Okay, I'm
right?
learning. Here we are.
And, I'm teaching.
Love it.
I'm so proud of you. Um Definitely agree on the protection of green spaces.
Yeah.
Parks, such as, Valley Cruces Park is an incredible
Mhm.
asset.
Yeah.
The greenway system is an incredible asset. I think of the assets that are growing, like Middle Fork Greenway,
Mhm.
to connect Blown Rock and Boone through a biking or walking path. Um, I think of organizations like Blue Ridge Conservancy that are
Mhm.
protecting land in conservation easements, that so that it can be used for
Yeah.
recreation um, and passive enjoyment. So
Yeah.
I don't want to, I'm not coming out guns a blazing saying I totally disagree with you, but I am going to push back to say that there are things that are happening that I think do that.
Yeah.
However, we have this finite amount of land, of real
Mhm.
estate, and I think that people, like you said, are so creative,
Mhm.
and they do a really good job of meeting the needs
Yeah.
when they see one. Take Crystal, for example. I
Mhm.
think she saw that as a need and said, "Hey, I can work to meet this need." We are a community of entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
for sure. And but we have to respect, small business, big business. Um, I think there's a purpose for everything and everyone, um, and for the most part, can coexist with each other. Um,
Well, I think you've said this in the past that those entrepreneurs and those businesses are going to follow what people are doing. And so I think of like pearls, it meets a need. There wasn't really anything to eat if you're out at Valley Cruises Park and you didn't pack your lunch.
right.
And then there's that. And I think of the new Middle Fort Greenway expansion and I think about what could go there. Bike rentals maybe, or I know love that Birdies is there,
And
and yeah, so I think that my imagination is almost too small because I'm not one of these creative entrepreneurs, and I'm just excited for what everybody else is gonna dream up and I get to enjoy.
yeah, I so my answer is kind of along those lines. In the next 5 to 10 years, I think that no matter what kind of aspect, whether it's lodging, it's the hospitality,
Mhm.
um, it you know, supply is gonna try and keep up with demand.
Yeah,
So I look at it from a very economic
right.
mindset, which is, okay, I have supply, the businesses that currently exist, and then, the demand side. And by the way, shout out to Pearls, Tina Houston, incredible
Yes,
operator. Owns a number of different restaurants, including,
and every one
um,
of her concepts is amazing.
yeah, every concept is just totally baller. Um, a restaurant recommendation for our listeners to put on the list that I really like is Beacon,
Oh,
is
yeah,
her
Beacon's
restaurant
great.
on 105. So uh, big shout out to Tina. Um, but so supply and demand are getting met, but at the same time, it's going to be tied
Mhm.
to those experiences.
Sure.
And I just love what you said about the Middle Fork Greenway,
Mhm.
because I think that that could totally transform that section of 321 between
Yeah,
Walgreens and Shops on the Parkway
right.
to have businesses that complement that recreational activity. And
Yeah.
maybe Katie Green is just a extreme visionary.
Yeah.
She said, "Man, this is going to blow up. I want to get here first."
And Blue Deer.
Oh, Blue Deer. Yeah,
I guess they were
Austin,
technically there
Northern.
first,
Yeah.
so
So we have Blue Deer. They do, for those of you that don't know about Blue Deer, they do ice cream
yes.
sandwiches and coffee. They have a place here in downtown Boone, across from First Baptist Church, if you are in beautiful downtown Boone. Um, and then Birdie's, which does coffee. Have you seen their new mobile unit yet?
Not in action, but
Okay.
I've laid eyes on it. I
Yeah, I've
haven't seen
I've
it.
seen it on parked by
Yeah.
the trailer, but I haven't, I heard it was in the July 4th parade.
Oh, was it? I wasn't
I saw
there.
a picture.
Okay.
The and one of the aspects of commercial real estate, though, that I think will continue to grow is the lodging side.
Yeah,
I think that if the tourism is such a big driver to our community, and I don't know, I know the question that's going through your mind, which is, um, when is enough enough?
right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't done, I'm not an economist, so I can't do the supply demand calculation on the fly. But what I will say is that the only reason that we keep getting hotels is because these developers feel like
There's a demand. Yeah.
there's still demand for it. I think that we will see an expansion of boutique hotels. I think that's a segment where, um, those with discretionary income want that higher um, level hospitality experience. And then I think, I would love to see an expansion of our restaurant scene.
Mm,
I'm not hating on our
yeah.
restaurants that we have, but as someone that's in commercial real estate, I think that we could certainly support
Mhm.
another, I don't know, half dozen or so new
Yeah.
I would like to see a variety in concepts. Like,
Sure.
is there any kind of food concept that you really enjoy off the mountain that isn't here in Boone that you'd love to see?
Oh, yeah, so I'm Korean and I
Okay.
love Korean food. Love, 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 and
Now, is this specifically Korean barbecue where you do,
I
or
mean,
is
I
it
think
more like a
no,
pho
Korean
aspect?
barbecue, I think, is what your average person
Okay.
is gonna go for if you've not been to Korea, maybe. Um, but no, Korean food is so much more than just Korean barbecue. I do love Korean barbecue,
Oh,
but
so explain to me the difference between, or what kind of, I guess, array is, or what would I expect if I just went to a traditional Korean restaurant?
well, there are a lot of soups, lots of cabbage, lots of fermented foods. One of my favorite things, that you'd probably be familiar with is kimchi,
Okay.
and I love kimchi fried rice. Um, Another thing that is so good is pork belly, Korean pork belly. Korean fried chicken is actually amazing. Um, oh man, they do a lot of seafood.
Okay.
Um, But yeah, I would love, even if it wasn't a traditional Korean restaurant, something maybe more on that Asian fusion side,
Okay.
just that brings in more global flavors.
Have
And
you been to the Happy
yes, I have.
Permissum? Is it
Persimmon. Yes.
Persimmon? Persi
It's so fun to go in there and see familiar products from really all across Asia.
Yeah. Um, so other than Korean, is there any other aspects food-wise that you like that you would wanna see?
Yeah, I don't eat out a lot just because of my season of life, but when I do eat out, I love a fine dining
Okay.
experience. And we do have some really amazing places here. Um, but I wouldn't mind if there were some additions to that scene as well.
Um, Favorite fine dining restaurant here in the High Country?
Oh gosh, Gideon's Ridge is always
Okay.
good.
I've never been there.
James,
I know.
okay, we have a running list of field trips and we're gonna have to start knocking them off soon, but we're going.
Yeah.
um Artisanal, have you been there?
No.
Oh, okay. All right, listeners. James has got some
I
restaurant work to
I
do.
know, I know. And it's not that I couldn't, afford it's more just
Time,
time,
I know,
right?
and I hear you on that.
And with small children, finding a sitter, schlepping out to, Blowing Rock or Banner Elk
I know, and
is,
some of those places are a little bit of a drive, and it's, like, the last thing you wanna do
I'm trying
after
to
a long
think
day.
of the most fine dining experience, that I've had. I I I did before my father passed, I, had dinner with him at, Westglow
Oh,
at
yeah.
Roland's,
I
and,
haven't been there in quite some time, but that
that
was a great spot.
so, I also am I won't I don't know if you call it fine dining, big fan of, Gamekeeper,
Oh, yeah, me
um,
too.
and it's not so much the fine dining aspect as it is, um, the just finding food that's different and
Yes.
it's excellent quality. So, um, I wanted to read this last sentence to you because I think it's important and it's a great way to kind of summarize everything. Um, the best commercial opportunities will come from businesses that can attract, both visitors and year round. I think
Mm,
that's the aspect of tourism business that, a lot of people don't see is that, there are a lot of businesses that aren't hyper focused on a 3-month period of time, right?
right.
And they are more year round. And so, you know, if your business only operates for 10 weekends a year,
Mhm.
that's going to be tough. Um, a concept that, attracts the tourists that, in say the month that we're in July, students, when they come back, um, locals when tourism is at a low, right? So
Yeah.
when in the middle of winter, January, February, when it's, -6 outside, we we don't tend to get a whole lot of visitors and the wind is blowing at
Yeah.
30 miles an
Oh,
hour. But businesses that attract locals. And then, the other big segment of our market is second homeowners, right?
yes.
Which, in my opinion, I do differentiate them from a tourist, right?
Yeah.
The tourist spends a finite
Mhm.
period of time here in the marketplace. Um, the second home owner is, the snowbird that
Yeah.
comes up from Florida in, um, you know, May, and, leaves in October, November. So,
Yep.
um, I don't know how this is all going to come out. Again, recreation,
Mm.
tourism, summertime, it's all very important to our community.
Yeah.
I see when we walk up to King Street, I see commerce at work.
Mm.
I see businesses thriving, people walking in, coming out with bags. Um, that's always been my hope and prayer is that every business within our community is successful, and is set up for success, and you know, and that they operate, the in their respective commercial real estate space
Yeah.
as to the best of their ability. Um, okay, anything else that you want to talk about when it comes to
Mm.
summertime here in the high country?
I don't think so. I think it's one of the best times of year to be up I mean, I say that, and then in the fall, I'll say this is the best time, and
No, I agree. I won't mention who just for the pure confidentiality factor, but earlier this week, someone said to me, summertime is the best time.
Mhm.
All
Yeah.
everyone leaves and goes away to, their respective beach week or
Oh, yeah.
um does this and this person said, um, no, this is when I want to be in Boone.
Right.
This is the time of year that I I thrive on and I want to enjoy because I don't enjoy January when it's cold
Yeah,
and I can't do anything or um,
that's when I leave.
fall. Not that the fall is a bad season. I certainly rank summer at the top.
Yes, I think summer
And
is magic.
I would say a Boone summer is special because it's not as busy. Yes, we have the influx of people coming in, but you know, we can only handle so much
Yeah.
as a community and infrastructure. Okay. Um, we're going to give people one last pitch to say, come on up to
Mhm.
Boone, North Carolina, to Watauga
Yes.
County, to the high country. Um, you know, if we we are open, just a reminder, we are open for business and that um no matter what you want to do, there's
Yeah.
something for everyone. That's
Yes.
really what speaks to me is that, whether you go hiking, whether you go eat at restaurants, there's something for everyone. Um,
Or just enjoy the view.
yeah. Or go up to Grandfather Mountain.
Yeah.
That is another kind of iconic place that a lot of our tourists
Yeah.
gravitate to. I should have pulled the Placer AI data on Grandfather Mountain
Yes, you
to
should
see.
have. You know I love that.
I would say that we did look at where people are in the month of June, where are people coming from. Surprisingly, a lot of you are coming from like the Greenville, Spartanburg area.
Oh, interesting.
That was uh, on a year over year
Uh-huh.
comparison. That was very high. Still, a lot of people coming from Wake County, from Raleigh.
Yeah.
A lot of people still coming from Mecklenburg County.
Mhm.
A lot of people trying to go down the list, Charleston, and then a a lot of our Miami contingent is making their
Yeah.
way up to the high country. So
Interesting.
South Florida. So and then um, also Atlanta area has somehow said we like coming to the high
Okay.
country. So a lot of people getting to experience Boone. And if you experience Boone for the first time, we hope that you enjoy it and
Yeah.
come back and tell a friend. So,
Yes.
all right, Jamie, should we tease our next
Yes,
episode?
absolutely.
Okay. If you've gotten this far, we are very excited to announce that um, Corey Furman, who is the president of Boone Drug, is going to be joining us for our next episode.
Mhm.
It's not going to be in studio, but he's going to be part of the recording. So hopefully we can work through the technology part of it. So for the one person that gave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts
Yeah.
saying talking about Boone or talk about Boone Drug,
Good.
we're bringing Corey to
Yes.
you. But I'm really excited for that. And then the last thing I was going to say is with you being away, maybe we'll just take a couple of weeks break and recharge.
Yep, and we'll be back
So
soon.
enjoy this
Yeah.
beautiful Boone summer
Thanks,
before
you
the
too.
kids go back to school.
Yeah, and the
So,
crazies again.
yes. All right. Always good to see you.
Yeah, thanks, James.
Grateful.